Hi there, so this is the weekend review from me. This is the first time I'm doing this, and essentially this is me going over the performances that I liked from the weekend that really caught my eye, and hopefully I'll be pointing you to some winners as well in the near future from horses I'm going to be taking out of the races I'm going to be interested in from what we saw over the last couple of days. So the first one was in the 225 at York on Saturday. This was a 7-furlong handicap, and this was won very impressively by the William Haggis trained Extremely Zane. Was making its handicap debut, but interestingly, William Haggis had actually entered this horse in the Sussex Stakes. He wouldn't make this entry very lightly, therefore you'd have to would have been thinking that he was better than a handicapper, and he certainly proved that, winning in very good style. Had to wait for a run as well, did Extremely Zane, before getting out, and when he did, it was basically all over from there on in, winning very impressively with Kieran Fallon pulling him up towards the line in very, very easy fashion, winning by over 3 lengths. So a very impressive performance. The second in the race, though, however, Andesides, I thought ran pretty well. He didn't get a clear run at the crucial time during the race. I actually think in his own little race, he was much the best of those. Obviously, he won't have to come up against horses like Extremely Zane every time in a 7-furlong handicap. And therefore, I think he's worth following next time. I think Roger Fell's done a good job with this horse. He's got him back to a pretty good form consistently. He was, of course, a very good 2-year-old for Carl Burke. He was even sent off favourite for the Coventry a few years ago. But Roger Fell seems to have nursed him back from quite a serious injury, as he'd lost his form over the last year or so. But it seems like he's recovering now and got back some of his old ability. So great to see him run well. But very hard to know what the ceiling of the winner's ability. And I think William Haggis will be looking to better races now, possibly even out with handicaps, maybe even listed races down the line for Extremely Zane, who was very impressive there in the 225. The 3 o'clock then, there was also the Sky Bet race to the Ebor Grand Cup Stakes. This race means if you win it, you go straight into the Ebor. And this year it was won by Gregory. And with Royal Ascot actually round the corner, this was Wafnan Racing's first ever Royal Ascot winner. Of course, this horse was formerly owned by Normandy Stud before Wafnan purchased this horse prior to the Royal Meeting a few years ago. And I doubt we'll be seeing this horse wheeled back out at the Royal Meeting. But Gregory did really well to win off such a long absence. And the jockey James Doyle was heaping praise on the people that had looked after him during his recuperation from his injury. And it looked like during the race that Table Talk and Mount Atlas were going to get him, and you were thinking to yourself, well, Gregory's run a cracking race, he's going to finish second or third on his reappearance run, and he's done really well. But none of it. Gregory battled really well to see off those 2 horses and did very well to take this listed contest. Table Talk the second is a good horse, especially at York. He's a former Melrose winner. He ran a very good race. Mount Atlas, I think, is the difficult one to come out of this contest. I think the Balding team will be scratching their head a little bit, because is he too keen, or does he not go past horses? Because he looked like he was coming there to win and then didn't really quicken up as expected. I think he might just be a little bit too keen for his own good, and he hasn't run particularly well at York before. He got beaten in a handicap here last year when also a short price at the Ebor meeting. So he might be just not be in love with York, but I think Mount Atlas needs to possibly be ridden more from the front next time. It'll be interesting to see what tactics they employ next time. Maybe going from the front might be the way forward. But yeah, I think they would have been disappointed with that. And he was really well backed as well. He was 5-1 earlier in the week, and he went off 6-4 favourite on the day as well. So disappointing for Mount Atlas, but can't take anything away from Gregory, especially coming back after such a long absence there. And I think he'll certainly give the Wafnan team plenty of encouragement heading into this week at Royal Ascot. Also on the card there, we had the winner of the 335, which was won by Thundercall. I thought this was a really good ride by Zach Lloyd as well, the Australian jockey who's recently come over. This horse was going for a gap at one stage. He was just slightly under pressure to get there. And when he got the gap, Zach Lloyd then sat back up on him as the horse was going well thereafter. I thought that was a really intelligent piece of riding. He didn't flap on him. He just waited to get his energy back, and then made him have the energy conserved for the final furlong. I thought that was a good piece of race riding there from Zach Lloyd. Tim Easterby, who trained the second, Red Spells Danger, was certainly right what he said in the Racing Post, that whatever beats my horse will win. So you're certainly right on that score. But the draw had a massive influence on this race. That out of the first 6 home, 5 of them were drawn in single figures. And the third horse home, Fortification, was drawn in stall 22. And he's run his absolute eyeballs out. He was back up to 6 furlongs as well. He'd ran well previously at York as well from a bad draw at the previous meeting from stall 17. So I think, granted, he gets a good draw next time, hopefully at York or maybe even somewhere else. He has to be of major interest next time he runs. So Fortification, certainly one to go in the notebooks there from York on Saturday. And the horse I actually helped buy that ran in that race too, called First Time. He finished 6th, and I actually did back him at 66 to 1 each way. And thankfully I managed to get paid out for his 6th place. And it took Barry McHugh, the jockey, quite a while to pull up on him. So I think we were quite infused by that run. I think we'll be sticking at 6 furlongs. He'll be back at the next York meeting, hopefully, as well. But yeah, we're absolutely thrilled with his run there in 6th position, there in the big sprint handicap at York on Saturday. The other race I just wanted to involve you with was the 3:35 at Sandown. Or not the 3:35, it was the 3:17 there at Sandown on Saturday. This was won by Beagle Bay, trained by Rafe Becky, who actually put this horse up as one of his horses to follow in the stable tour for the Racing Post. I think the ground was probably more on the lively side than he would have liked. I think he just got away with good ground there. But I thought the second horse in this, Rami, was the horse to take out of this race for the future. I think a first-time Hood really helped him. He settled a lot better than what he did last time when he ran at the Sandown. He was far too keen when he was a red-hot favourite and overdid himself during the race, and therefore he couldn't finish it off and finished in 4th. I actually also think Rami gave first run to Beagle Bay. Now, whether that's because he doesn't quite have the speed for a mile is open to question. He has been given the John Smith's Cup entry, so you'd have to think that Rami potentially could be better stepped up in distance. He's got a beautiful pedigree as well. He's got a deep Judmont family on the dam side there as well. So I think Rami certainly going up in trip won't be a hindrance to him. I think the winner will also be better on soft ground as well. He was... I think the ground, like I said, was just lively enough for him. I actually saw him on debut, this horse, at Newbury. He was second to a horse called Point of Contact, who also won at York at the weekend. And Crown of Oaks was third in that maiden at Newbury, who obviously won the Balmoral Handicap there last year. So I thought he ran really well.